I forgot to add this to the screen. I'm sitting there finishing my the quesadilla from Chipotle.
Gotcha.
First question: do you like Chipotle?
I had it once, and it gave me really, really bad number twos, and
Oh well,
I was gonna eat it again, but it got closed down by the health department, and
yeah. The
I never went.
salmonella thing is all a thing of the past. Yeah, they worked that out. It's funny because every time we drive by Chipotle, it's around the block. It's like
Okay.
like a little supermarket with a whole bunch of little restaurants. There's a Wendy's,
Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse, and adding a Chick-fil-A there.
I got you.
Every time we drive by, I go Chipotle, and my wife goes, bleh. So today, I've been stressing out all week. I've been in the worst mood. I'm going back to work, and I work at the airport.
Okay.
And my certifications all expired. They're 5-year certifications.
Yeah, I saw you were doing some of those modules the other day.
Yeah, I took them all to so I could work at the airport, and I didn't realize I'd been there for 5 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
I was on furlough, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can't come back. All your certifications expired." And it's 50% their fault, 50% my fault, because I'm supposed to watch the dates. I got the cards in my wallet, and it's 40 hours.
They're supposed to remind you, though.
Right. So nobody, so I took an extra week, and I've literally been doing nothing. I haven't read any comics. I haven't written any scripts, haven't done anything, but literally waking up and doing these certifications. So this morning, I didn't want to get out of bed. I was like, it's just going to be another miserable day. It's just going to be another miserable. Could you believe it? My back actually hurts from sitting in this chair for like 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm like, it's just going to be miserable. I come down here. It's funny because I got a laptop.
I was saying it makes me miss having a laptop.
I got this I was doing the certifications on the laptop. I loaded up Civilization, so I was playing Civilization and doing the and I was done in 35 minutes. I only had 35 minutes left. I would have finished it last night, but there's 60 modules. So last night I was at module 49. And I was like, I got to go to bed. It's 2:00 in the morning. I can't keep my eyes open. So I woke up, and the next modules were all 10 minutes each.
Oh, geez.
I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I the same thing with my the post the police officer standards and trainings, peace officer standing trainings. That was every year you got to do at least 20 plus hours of in service.
Right.
Some departments require like 90 to 100 hours or 80 to 100 hours. And it's a nightmare because you have to do them, by a certain date, and you don't get paid. You can't. They want you to do them while you're working, but you gotta be proactive and doing it at the same time, and it's impossible. So everyone just waits and does them at the end.
Right. I don't get paid for these 40 hours. I get paid 1 hour overtime.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, which is now tax free, so that's good. But it's just miserable. But
yeah.
I'm going to let you in on a secret that we can't tell anybody else. I turned down the sound. I just hit next, and I was playing a video game. And when it came for the questions, most of them I know because it's just repetition. It's just repetition.
It's the same questions every year. Yeah.
And it's all, but whenever there was a question I didn't know, I took a picture. I put the picture in Grok, and 90% of the time it gave me the correct answer.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
I know people say that's cheating, but I firmly, I don't care. That's not cheating to me because in the real world, you don't know an answer. What are you going to do?
Right.
You look it up, right?
I was a school teacher, and I was a teacher. I taught electrical theory for electricians, and I used to give open book tests. And people like, what do you give an open book test? I said, you never ask your partner something when you're in the electrical. And you got to bend a 3-point saddle. You don't. You bend 400 pieces of pipe until you get it right, or you ask your buddy, or do you carry an Uglies book? An Uglies book is a little book. It's a little book like this that has all the electrical formula. I said, life is an open book test.
Correct.
I said, so there you go. So Every test is an open book test.
You can tell we're generation because my wife is 8 years younger than me, almost 9, and she thinks I'm wrong for that. But our generation, we're like, that's how we thought. Like, hey, it's open book. Everything's open. I mean,
well, let me put it this way. There's a surgeon. He's going to open heart surgery on you. He doesn't have computers with them. He doesn't have an assistant with them. If he doesn't, is it this vein or that vein? Oh, I'm going to take it. No, every life is open. And if you, as the test taker, as the test creator, you have to think about that. Like when I was in college, the scariest test was an essay test.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I have to write, or worse, with the professors, it would be an oral test. Stand in front of the teacher and just talk. That would be the scariest, because you know what I mean. So I blame. Don't make it a true and false or a multiple choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, RJ, I feel you, brother. I was a first responder as well, and I, yeah, man. I kept a book. I don't have it in here. It's called the West Criminal Law Book for Louisiana. And every state and every year there's a new one for each book, and they're like $300. But you find them you find them used on Amazon. And dude, there was many times if I'm like, shit, this sounds like it could be this crime, I'd go grab the book, and then we got computers in our unit, so then you started Googling. You go to Louisiana site for the criminal code, and you look up the code there. Right. You look up the definition. Oh shit, it is that, but it could also be this one. And then you got then you got to pick.
Right, everything is open book. You just need to know how to, like I said this to one of the guys who was teaching with me. I said, the engineer who designs all the blueprints that we follow to build airports, buildings, bridges, I said, that guy sits in the room with a piece of paper and a pencil, or does he have AutoCAD? Does he have computers with him? Everything is open book. That college professor, everything is open book. I said, design a test to test my knowledge of how to apply. But I said, knowledge isn't memorizing facts. To make this comic book related, there was a comic book called the Elementals, written by Bill Willingham, who's now famous for Fables. Yep. But there was 4 characters. One of them was Tommy Kazurka. He was Monolith, and he was a genius. He was a 12-year-old boy who was a genius. And somebody asked him a question. He goes, well, I don't know. And he goes, I thought you were a genius. He goes, well, what do you think a genius is? I memorize things, or I can figure out stuff. He goes, a genius is he goes, an intelligent person knows how to get that information and apply that information. And
correct.
And before that, I always thought like Reed Richards was just like, I magically know the answer to that question. You know what I mean? But it's figuring out. So that's what intelligence is. Take the way you get. Okay, you're smart. I know how to get this information and apply it, not memorize useless information.
I'm going to refer to D&D.
Is 12, that's not, that's smart, but it's not intelligent.
Right. I'm going to refer to D&D. Intelligence is having the knowledge in your head. Wisdom is knowing where to go look for it.
Right. And comeliness is something I don't have. So let's go through the chat. Let's first and foremost, my comic is still available. People have been asking me, because I've been dropping hints. We're getting a couple of pages together. Renzo, the bottleneck in my comic book is Renzo. Renzo is also working with 4 other people, and I think 3 of them are crunch time. So mine, I was like, finish.
Push it back.
Don't get mad. I'm starting. We can wait. So we're just waiting for a couple more pages, and then we're going to build the campaign and then launch the campaign. I also we will for issue number 2 of Heroic Tales. I was going to push to launch this month, but it looked like people were fatigued. People didn't have money. But now it looks like with, whether
my bank account thanks you.
Right. So it looks like, and for a while I was thinking of going with $15, but I think I'm going to go back to $10 for the issue. I know the preview pro say 15, but I could change that. I'm jury's still out on that. But anyway, sooner rather than later. I don't want to give a hard date yet. Also, because I cleared this with all the guys that I work with, if Heroic Tales number 2 does well, I'm going to spin off and do the Patriarch as his own comic. So issue 1 of the Patriarch will have his origin, which I started
Nice.
writing because it could be bigger. And then Heroic Tales will be what I imagined it to be, just introducing characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it'll, so that way I could, and then what I'll do is I'll probably have a campaign for Patriarch #1 and Heroic Tales 3 and Patriarch #2 and Heroic, you know what I mean? And you could pick and choose.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do, but Renzo will have the entire Patriarch comic, maybe two Patriarch stories, I don't know, and then one of his choice of character that he wants to draw for Heroic Tales.
Ooh.
And then I'm gonna hire a rotating other artist. I already have one artist in mind for a particular comic, things like that. So that's if there's a lot riding on Heroic Tales #2. For all I know, this could be the last thing I ever do. Since I'm talking about other things, this is also being worked on. I just got this letter just now. This is, I'm gonna make this big. This is the first page for Eddie is Doomed, and it's also a promo. I don't know if you remember Rom.
Yes.
#1 Ed, and it was also a promo. So here it is. There's one little thing I'm gonna tweak, but I just can't. This is Oscar's art and Bill Willingham's letters. Oh my God,
It's so nice,
good. So good. That's Big Brother. He's like the Watcher. So he's the Doom Keeper crashes on the planet, and hijinks is going to ensue. Oh man, I can't wait. So this is the first page for Eddie is Doomed. Just look at that coloring. It's so freaking good.
So this is new, but the way they're doing it, it looks like it's from like a yellow comic from the 70s or early 80s.
So this comic book is by a fictional Top Comics. If you could see the bottom.
Yeah.
Doomed Earth, the new maxi series from Top Comics. You don't want to miss out on the biggest comic event of all time. So it's kind of goofing on the Crisis of Infinite Earth. So this comic is supposed to be set in 1986.
Okay.
So it's 1986. Eddie Pagano is buying Doomed Earth, which ends the continuity of his beloved Top Comics, and his father is also telling him he has to move out of his basement. Eddie's real life is over, and Eddie's comic book life is over, and poor Eddie is doomed. So that's the premise for that. So there's going to be two artists, two art styles. The coloring style is going to be different for two. So it was originally a 22-page comic, and now it's up to like 44 pages. And we're working on that because Tonic Mole has like 3 of his own comics, so he's working on that on the side. So there's no release date for that. So, but it's so good, so good. So all that. Then we got this guy, Darnell Quiggley, says howdy. Ernest says hello. Master Hobo, good to see you from the homeless shelter. No riddles, please, my Marcus. And don't worry, Marcus. If Eddie is Doomed does well, I got work for you too. If Eddie is Doomed does well, I want to do an origin of all the superheroes that we introduced in that. There's 10 superheroes. There's a Golden Age version, and then there's Silver Age versions, because it's like DC. They get rid of the Golden Age and the Silver Age, and don't mess with Grok. Grok, I love Grok. RJ, well, you're a paramedic. That's good to know, because the Patriarch was a paramedic, and that directly resulted in it. So maybe I have some questions to ask you, because I was saying EMT, and then when I was describing what he did, people like, dude, that's a paramedic. So shows you what I know. I won't have him doing surgery, stuff like that, so I won't. What's this? Darnell the Riddler Quigley takes a sip from the heroic. Yes. And had we coordinated,
I'm sorry,
I would have gotten mine up there, because you know what? I'm in the mood for a beer now. I have to do that 40 hours of Are you saying you got? No, I'm saying I wish I had oral tests in college.
No. He's referring to oral tests.
One teacher wouldn't have minded an oral test. Actually, 2 now that I think about it. But I think like the ancient Greeks, you get the student to stand up and explain and have a conversation, go back and forth, is the best way to test the knowledge. When you give a class 80 true or false, I actually took a class in test logic in college. And I might not be a smart guy, but I'm good at test logic. And I could pretty much pass, maybe not, I don't know. I could get a decent grade in a test that not familiar with, just by doing like a short answer test. You give me an answer essay test. That's a different question.
Yeah.
Supposedly Einstein never memorized his phone numbers because it was something he could look up. Wait, John? Yeah, why not? Black Irish. My wallet is dead, but it still thanks you. Yeah, I know. Things are rough. Things are rough. You know. Every time Renzo the Great looks at us, Renzo is a saint. I haven't talked to him in a couple of days because I just been focusing on getting these credentials done. But I enjoy talking to him. He's the most positive, uplifting, cheerful guy. He is a saint. I joke that every time I see him, there's a halo behind him. Zachtan with the blessing. Good to see you, Zachtan. Ahoy, you sagacious scallywags. John, Darnell, Marcus, and pals. Yep. I didn't know. No, Renzo wasn't a paramedic. Did I say Renzo? I meant to say the patriarch. My character, the patriarch, was a paramedic. Renzo, I think, was an artist for the city that he lives in, and that's why he's so good with buildings and all of that stuff and all the backgrounds.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of that he drew, and he just uses his old art and inserts, but because he's so quick. That's what I think anyway, but that's what he used to do. And he said he was bored out of his mind. So now, he's drawing.
The architecture is always my favorite part because I have ADHD. Well, I went to art school, and in art school, in an art class in high school, I couldn't keep my brain still long enough for drawing people. So my favorite part was drawing and coloring in the art, the backgrounds, and the architecture.
When I was a kid, drawing kid comics, we'll say,
yeah.
One of the things I've been saying for a while is I think most kids, at least Americans, are natural artists. Little boys, little girls, you give them a pen, pencil, they're all drawing, and I think they draw until they get discouraged. Oscar does an art class every 2 weeks on my channel on Fridays, and I think that's one of the things that he was saying, and I agree. We draw to, and I got discouraged by myself because I couldn't draw the backgrounds. I like drawing. I mean, I'm not saying I was ever any good, but I like drawing Superman, and then you drawing all the back. I couldn't get the lines right, and what is that expression they say? Don't let the perfect be the enemy.
Yeah.
Good or something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect. I couldn't get it perfect, so therefore I didn't want it.
And that's how I felt about drawing figures. I can't get it perfect, and I don't remember all the details for doing things.
We got little miniature people.
Yeah, it's her birthday today. She went pick up some gifts at Walmart. Birthday. She's 10.
Oh, happy birthday! That's great.
She's happy birthday. But yeah, I did some perfect hands. One time we had one of the things where to grab the student, lay them down on the big table, okay, draw them, and I drew his hands perfectly. And after that, my hands are shit because I can never. I can never reach that level again. That was just perfect hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I discouraged myself.
Yeah.
Frank Reben says this isn't about Marvel. We'll talk about Marvel. We end up talking about Marvel comics, but either one of them work for Marvel. I've never seen your name before. I hope you didn't come on here thinking we were Marvel people.
We're just, everybody.
Yeah, we're just comic fans. Sagacious, shrewd, discerning, having good judgment. Yep. I heard that Bronze Age kind of went back on a lot of Silver Age whimsy. What do you think is the biggest difference between the Golden Age and the Bronze Age? I'll say the Golden Age was all over the place. First off, I think it's safe to say that the Golden Age invented everything. So the Golden Age, we don't give it enough credit. These people were creating comic book art and creating the conventions of comics. So that's important. Second, it was a lot more dangerous. Batman had a gun. Superman was throwing people into jail cells upside down. You know what I mean? Superman was punching just like jaywalkers and stuff.
Using very colorful language that would not be accepted in the Bronze Age.
Girls who were in skimpier bikinis and stuff. And I think the war came and ushered in this era of whimsy and everything. And I think the term atomic age, it turned all that mysticism that you had a lot, like like you had, the Shadow with the mystic ring and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Green Lantern with this magic, literally a magic lantern, and Shazam's with magic word. It became science fiction. Superman being the exception. He was always science fiction, visitor from another planet. And I think people were like, the war took a toll on people, and it got a little goofy and silly. And then I think the Bronze Age, the Bronze Age is where we had people who grew up reading comics, actually working in comics. And I think they were, after the moon landing and everything like that, we were interested in like real science, real. So I talk too much. Good.
No, you're good. I noticed that the Bronze Age also, the storyline started to get darker.
Right.
Like it started to get really like there were stakes in these now.
Right. Characters were dying.
Rules are wiped out.
I mean, the Punisher would have fit in the Golden Age, but I don't think the Punisher would have fit in the Silver Age.
Mm-mm.
So it got more realistic. And
yeah,
just to tie it together, my comic, I would like it if my comic could fit in the Bronze Age.
I think it does.
And that, that's why I say a Bronze Age love letter. When do you think the Bronze Age ended? Like 2000, the 90s?
Yeah. I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to blame Image for ending the Bronze Age, but I think Image ended the Bronze Age.
Okay.
Like when they, I say Image ended it. They, I think Image, when Image was starting to drop, that's when the Bronze Age really ended, because I think the storylines. This is just what I saw with people. With people I talked to, people, they said like the storylines got too dark. You're welcome. Like they were just, it was like, it was no longer an escape from reality. It was just like they were starting to see like, man, look, everything is dark. You have all these wars and shit.
Yeah,
and all these wars are happening here, and it's like you can't get away from it.
After I would say like the Vietnam War ended the whimsical Silver Age stuff, and I think after that, like I'm going to pull my age on everybody. I remember the 70s, things like Death Wish and Dirty Harry and everything like that was really, really big. So that worked in the comics. Henry Cavill was not mild-mannered, and he didn't. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Henry. I really like Henry Cavill. I think in Man of Steel, I've only seen him in Man of Steel because I was like, I didn't like that movie, so I didn't go further on with but I didn't like the writing. Superman is supposed to inspire awe, and he's almost supposed to be like this holy angel that descends from the sky. Kal-El is like a angelic name, and
that's why I have a serious issue with this new movie coming out, because yet again society hates him. Right. I can't stand that trope.
I'm willing to. Well, I'm a little bit excited because I do like crypto and like maybe, but I'm willing to think that Lex Luthor is so deceitful that he manipulated everybody into a campaign. I'm willing to believe that.
I can get behind that. It's so overused.
Right.
It's like that's one of the Pedro Pascal tropes of movies. It's everywhere.
Yeah, but like you, my expectations for superhero movies are way low. Like Fantastic Four is my favorite. Yogi, I'll believe it when I believe it, like Yogi Berra says.
Yeah.
Mr. Hobo, the Punisher in the Silver Age. Yeah, the Punisher in the Silver Age would be using a gun that like turned people into kangaroos and vegetables and stuff like that.
He's right. Yeah.
I have like 50 kids. The difference between me and Elon Musk are money and infidelity. Yeah. Same tank. That's cool, Marcus. A good chunk of my retirement is in that company. Oh, my son. I skipped a comment. My son works for Tesla. Oh, so okay. I'm up to date on the comments. So I was going to make a point about something. Oh, if Henry Cavill is in something, I'm a little bit more interested because he himself brings like integrity. Like I only
he's a nerd.
Yeah, he's one of us. He likes Dungeons and Dragons. He plays Warhammer. He paints his Warhammer, and he made me realize something when he said like if you're into something, you're into all the lore and all the little nuances and little details. That's what makes you a fan. If you're not into that, then you're a tourist. Maybe I'm butchering what he says, but he's absolutely right.
No, you're right.
If you're into Warhammer, you want to know the Emperor. You want to know the history of all these factions and clans and squads. And when you're into Tolkien, you want Aragorn's lineage all the way back to Beridan Luthien and beyond. You want to memorize that. Things like that. You know all the Valar and
yeah.
But I'm not saying you can get into Tolkien just like my wife just likes the movies and that's it. Every once in a while she'll ask me a question, and you could just buy a Batman comic casually and like it. But what bothers me is when you're not into all of that lore and then you write Batman, or worse, you're editor for Batman. So yeah, and now we have the mess that we're in now. Henry Cavill would be a great James Bond. He absolutely would be. And I'm of the opinion, keep in mind, I've never seen a James Bond movie. I'm of the opinion that it should be set in the 60s. James Bond is a Cold War relic.
So what I like about that is one of the things I like about Archer, the cartoon Archer. They never say when it takes place, but there's 60s era tech, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and current tech. And I think James Bond, same thing. I don't think they ever really mention when it takes place, but there's tech from across all generations. And I think they do that on purpose.
Right. Brian Bow has a wonderful comic called Wolf and Batsy. And when I got the first issue, my question was, where and when is this set? And he said it's in horror land. It's in Hammer horror land. It's a fictitious place, a fictitious setting where people speak English, but if you go to the country, they dress up as like Germanic shepherds and shepherdesses, villagers. But when you go to the city, there's movies and cars and cell phones. And I'm like, I'm on board.
Yeah. Well, if you do get a chance to watch the James Bond movies, they do. You could tell when they were made, but I don't think they ever specifically state when they take place. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but so that leaves it open to your interpretation of when it's taking place. So
yeah, again, I can't speak to James Bond, but I just feel like it's the 60s. Just go back to the 60s. Fight Russian spies. Fight Cold War spies. Go into East Berlin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's the bad guy now? Who was the bad guy in the last 3 James Bond movies?
I think it was Western Europeans
or something like that.
It was Western Europeans, I think.
Yeah.
And one was his brother from I didn't watch them, but one was his brother, that he long lost brother.
Yeah, I approve of the beard game. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, Michael, you're too clean shaven. You want to come on this channel, grow a beard, Michael. Bancroft, you beautiful bogan bastard. Yeah. Longer than normal. How's your beard? Oh, so he is growing a beard. Okay, so Michael Bancroft will be making an appearance on my channel pretty soon. So I got to ask you, what is that above your shoulder? That red, it looks like Sauron's eyeball. The other side. Yeah.
So my wife got me for my birthday. It was a Stranger Things one of those metal signs that's got the magnet you put on the wall.
Okay.
It's a Stranger Things because she's like her toe in the pond nerd. And so we watched that show together. So she got that for me, and she's like, "Look, you can." And she sent me the site, and I hadn't seen it before. She's like, "Look, you can go to the site. You can buy all these other ones, and you can replace it whenever you want." Oh, that's so awesome! But in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I see this all the time." It's the scene where have you watched Stranger Things?
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it.
Oh shit! Her name, the redhead. Oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Sadie Mink or something like that is the actress, but I can't think of the character.
I can't remember the character's name. This is when she's being picked up by Vecna.
Yeah.
In the real world, because in the Upside Down, she's being taken by him.
I talk about this anytime anybody brings up Stranger Things. The Duffler brothers and I are the same age, and it was set at the age when they were kids on bicycles playing, and so it's literally my childhood.
Yeah, same here.
I was friends with a group of guys that were like in their late 20s, 30s. We used to play D&D together. And they would ask me, I was like, yeah, we'd all throw our bikes, leave our bikes on the lawn, go to this guy's house.
It wasn't weird to be friends with people in their 20s.
I said, it is exactly. Go to the arcade. You never saw your parents. After
No.
school, it was when the street lights came on, we knew to go home kind of thing.
I tell some of the people I stream with, we'll talk about stuff and like, man, look, I was a kid. I'd leave my house at 8 in the morning. I'd have $5 to my name. I'd go to Burger King. I'd walk 2 miles to Burger King, eat lunch, go to Walmart. They used to have the free samples. You remember those? In the super Walmarts? And they have the 25-cent Sam's Choice Cola machines. Man, the McDonald's and the Burger King was like $3.25 for a Whopper meal. I would eat samples and drink Sam's Choice the rest of the day and walk 3 miles home after. And then when it was getting dark, I'd play the demo games in the store, and you would have a home.
Stranger Things, we would take our bikes, literally leave our bikes in front of the arcade. Nobody ever saw our bikes or anything. And we also knew everybody's bike.
Mm-hmm.
So if you stole my bike, the people like, that's John's bike, that's Darnell's bike. But the point, what I was going to say is, I had a role-playing game, and if you go to my website, www.villagevigilantesforum.com, and look up the story called Explosion at the Bank, I invented the Upside Down years before Stranger Things. It's literally, when you see a map of my universe, you'll see how it came to be. And now I can't tell that story because people are going to tell me that I cheated, that I ripped off, Stranger Things. But I joke around that the Duffler brothers have been watching my forum. It's still active. You can still see it up there. It's 20 years old of me writing session adventures of villains vigilantes. It used to be that only commies had beards. Now they don't have the testosterone. My buddy Jimmy says that men over 50 should all grow beards, otherwise they look like old lesbians from lack of testosterone. Oh, the other thing I want to say about Stranger Things is it just bothers me now that nobody knows what the Mind Flayers really are, what Demogorgons really are, and what Vecna really is. Like I said to my wife, that's more of like a dimensional shambler than it is like the Demogorgon.
Yeah.
She goes, John, that's the Demogorgon now. And then Stranger Things.
I get it. People like purists are like, that's not the real Demogorgon. Like, I know, but look at it from the kid's perspective.
Right. It makes perfect sense.
They're correlating this horrible shit happening to the game they're playing. So that's how they're not going fucking crazy and just like, just foaming from the mouth. They're correlating and they're able to connect.
They're expressing it, and it makes perfect sense of the story. And my favorite,
I would have done the same thing.
My favorite thing about Stranger Things is after the first season, they listened to the kids. The first season, Will was gone. Everybody was freaking out. Nobody, they were trying to figure out what was going on. But the second season, the sheriff just turns to the kid and he goes, it's a Mind Flayer. He's doing this. And they start like using D&D lore to defeat the monster. I thought it was clever. And they were complaining that they never get to go on a dungeon crawl. And then they went on a dungeon. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Yes. I think the third season was the one I didn't particularly like. But then that last season, when they introduced
with Eddie,
I thought it was brilliant, to the point I don't want them to do it another season because it could only be a disappointment now.
Yeah. I kind of feel where you're coming from. Like that, I've watched that scene at the end when Eddie like plays Master of Puppets like 85 times. I still get fucking teared up when I watch it because I'm like, man, this is just like so 80s right here.
Right.
This is just so perfect. Like, no, just end it. It's done. But I need to see an ending to it.
And somebody on Twitter said, out of all the people on Stranger Things, that character Eddie, that actor, is the only one doing anything. Like they tried so hard for that Millie girl. She's been in so many things that nobody really cares about. Like, But that Eddie guy, he's like in 20 things now, and he looks so different.
He was in Gladiator 2. He's gonna be in Fantastic Four. And that guy Finn Wolfhard, he was gonna be in a lot of shit too. I think what's happening is this season 5 has taken so long that it's kind of tied up most of these actors. I think once it's done, we'll see more from these kids.
Right.
Maybe because I know the Gaten Matazzaro, he's doing a lot of theater.
Oh, okay.
He's doing a lot of like Broadway or off Broadway stuff.
That kid Finn Wolfhard, I thought he was gonna be a big movie star.
I thought so too. Did you see? You need to watch the movie. Oh shit! It's a I can't remember what it's called. Let me check it real quick.
He just cool. He looks like a young Pete Townsend or something.
He does. Steve, the guy who plays Steve.
Oh yeah, I like him.
I can't remember the actor's name.
Yeah. And I loved all the characters because, like the guy Steve, there was the cool guy that got all the chicks. But I also like that he flipped over and became the most likable character on the show.
Yeah, he's like the uncle.
The D&D metal guy. There was those kids in school, and if you took the time to get like a lot. I've always said this. A lot of the nasty people that you meet, especially in high school, they're like that because they're super sensitive, and it's like a self-defense. I'm going to attack first because I don't like to be hurt. So if you can penetrate that prickly exterior, they really are the nicest people. And what's her name? Millie Bobby Brown. I can't stand her. There's just something about her that's so unlikable.
For me, it's I can't separate the real person from the character. Like she's like this thing she says, the thing she does is so you're like, dude, just shut your mouth for 5 seconds. Just stop talking.
I've seen too many interviews with her, and I'm just like, I just don't like her.
Spree. That's the movie. Spree.
Spree?
Yeah, Steve. He's the main actor in the movie. He plays a rideshare driver who's trying to like make it big while like streaming while he drives. And he goes on this like killing spree throughout the movie. You got to see this. It's some really good stuff by this guy. He's really good.
Let me ask you this, since you brought up movies, there's nothing in the movies anymore. Like Spree, what did it go right to streaming?
I think it was right to streaming. Yeah. It's easier to get it there. That's why they do that. I think it's cheaper.
I mean, like it seems like movies have lost their gravitas now. Like it would open up. There'd be an opening weekend box. Like the only movies now that go to movie theaters are like Winter Soldier, or Captain America, or the Marvel movies.
Big blockbusters,
big blockbusters. Because are you going to go see the latest drama in a movie theater anymore? Especially when it's going to be in your house in 3 weeks. I don't know. I think the movie industry is kind of shooting itself in the foot. They're pursuing like the fast dollar instead of the long-term. Like they really should have made it so that it doesn't go on streaming services for like at least a year. But then like, are there second string movie theaters anymore? I used to love in college. I'd go to the movie theater, and then like, a second string movie theater was like $5. And I'm talking like it's been out already for 10 years. I'd go see like Goodfellas or something like that. Me and my friends have a couple of beers, go see Goodfellas, during the week for $5. Then go out to, I don't know. Are there second run theaters still?
Not around here. We had a dollar theater back, in 2002. And then I know a couple people. I know MSK mentioned earlier. He said he has a dollar theater near his house.
Okay, I gotta look.
They're very seldom now. Now bringing up theaters. I was talking to a guy named Cyfax, who's on some of the shows I'm on. He does a lot of chats I'm in. I think he shared something that theaters, AMC specifically, I think, is looking to bring things to theaters like, hey, we're gonna put a pickleball court. We're gonna put an amusement park. We're gonna put I want to go play pickleball, get all sweaty, and go watch a movie after.
Right. That's desperation.
That's gonna kill it.
How about you bring good movies to the movie theater?
Bring a little restaurant if you want to do that. A little restaurant that would get me to a movie theater quicker than I like being I used to be athletic. I like doing athletic things, but a restaurant would bring me to a theater quicker than a pickleball court.
A beer and a pretzel at the movie theater, but if I don't want to go play pickleball. If I'm going to the movies, I want to go to the movies. I want to see a good movie. like I was talking to Mike Barron, comics are dying, and he just said make better comics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so simple, so simple. Sometimes you don't think of it. Make better movies. Make better movies. Make something worth going to the movie theater to see. And you know what? I don't need to see another movie with Matthew McConaughey and Pedro Pascal. Get no-name actors, talented no-name actors. I don't like Hollywood actors. So I would, and maybe these Hollywood actors, if they keep their mouths quiet, use their social media just to promote the movies and stuff like that. If you want to talk politics, get another account. I hate Trump 645 and use that to talk nonsense to people. But like comic book creators, I don't want to hear your politics. And I do it too sometimes. I gotta stop arguing with people. Stop looking like lunatics. Bring back the glamour and the mystique of Hollywood, without the Satan worshiping and the pedophilia.
Right. So yeah, you brought up the drama shit. I get into arguments with people all the time because they'll sit there and they're like, "Look what I posted today," and they'll do screenshots of, "Look all these people I own today." It's like, dude, all you're doing is giving this person more of a platform because there's so many people attacking this person that all they're doing is getting bigger. Like, leave it alone.
At the risk of talking about drama, our space, the independent comic book world, is filled with drama. And somebody, I think it was Michael Bancroft said it. It was either Joe Santagata or Michael Bancroft. He goes, people get tired of the drama. He goes, but instead of looking for other people that are drama free, they just leave.
Yeah.
So so the people that just fight with other creators all the time and talk all it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch a movie. I'm gonna go watch a movie instead. I'm gonna go. I don't know. Go to the bar. I don't know what do people do these days.
I don't know.
But I think at one point there must have been like thousands of people watching all these streams. But I think the drama is chasing people away.
Big time. Big time. Big time. The drama is the most I guess the biggest detriment to this
right
type of medium.
So I started going head first right away. Darnell asked me before we went live, what's the topic? I said, I don't know. That's why I call it conversation. Is there anything that you're promoting? Anything you want to talk about?
No. Well, I used to host a trivia time with Quizmaster Darnell Quiggley. That show has since, I guess, ended. But me and a couple people I'm in the works with a couple people setting up a new trivia show. It'll be comic book, video game, movie. It'll be trivia amongst the whole pop culture
okay, cool.
Sphere.
Cool. Oh, we got Michael Bancroft here. What's he say? I used to watch comic book streams all day. Now I watch a couple of weeks and listen to audiobooks of music. Yeah. I finally, after swearing I would never listen to audiobooks, I'm starting to listen to audiobooks. Partially is because parts of the airport don't get signal, so I can't listen to so like, and part of it's I feel like I'm forgetting all that Roman history stuff that I studied in college. So I'm downloading the decline of Western civilization and I Claudius and things like that, and listen to them at work. Keep the drama for the stories in the comic. Yes. Oscar, were you here for when I showed your art? This is Oscar who drew and colored this. I'm going to show it again because now we got a bunch of new people. I just got scared. I thought I turned it. There you go. This is the first page for Eddie is Doomed. I'm going to tweak the lettering a little bit. There's just one little tweak I want to make, but this is.
I like it.
Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Just like
no, but the whole thing about I like the lettering too. It looks like it's from that era.
Yes, Bill Williams is the letterer. Bill Williams is the writer and the letterer, and I think also the inker on a wonderful comic called Punchline. Mm-hmm. He had a comic in the 90s called Heroic Tales that featured comics from another comic called
John, it's blank for the viewers. They can't see it.
Oh,
I have it on the stream here, and there's nothing on the screen. It's up on the side, and then your laurels.
Oh,
It's not showing for some reason.
can you see now? Could you see now?
I could see it on StreamYard, but there was nothing there. You have to wait for it to catch up to us.
Okay, let me know if you could see it. I cleared it and brought it back to Zach 10. Let me see.
No, it's still not
What is going on? That's weird.
Yeah, it showed earlier. I don't know why it's not showing
now. Did you
now.
see this? More Riddler shows. Topicless is a good draw stream. Yeah, that's a good title.
Oh, there it is. There it is. It's there now.
Okay. Maybe he had to refresh. Okay. I don't know. But Bill Williams had a comic with spin-off characters from a comic called Pantheon, which was written by Bill Willingham, one of my favorite comic book creators of all time.
Fables is fantastic.
So somebody said, there already was. So I reached out to Bill, and he was like, yeah, take the title. I took it from a 40s comic. So then he goes, do you need a letterer? And I was like, I could always use a letterer, and he's just so talented. So I just said, this is supposed to be ridiculous, over the top 80s, 70s rather, DC. And he got it. We're just working on a font to fix something on the bottom.
I like it. I think the font is perfect. It brings, and Oscar seems to agree, it comes from that time.
The only thing I want to do is on the bottom where it says Doomed Earth, like Oscar made like a 3D Doomed, Eddie is Doomed. So we're going to make Doomed Earth the same 3D thing. Bill's working on that, and we're going to put that in just so that, because that's what they would do in the 80s, make it over the top. And Oscar, I have to agree, when you see the art lettered, that's when it becomes a comic book. You know what I mean? Like I say, there's a couple of stages of a comic book creation. You write the script, you're proud of the script. Then you see some sketches. You see an artist actually draw a couple of your characters. Then you see some finished art. Then you see it inked. Then you see it colored. But when it's lettered, it's a comic book. Yeah, I got caught stealing. It's not that I got caught stealing. I got caught using the title that I didn't know it existed. There's no cheating in commercial law. Only results. Behold the Doomkeeper. Yes. It's supposed to be over the top. But there you go. I'm glad you guys like it. I'm so excited. Yeah, Oscar added. Yeah, it's supposed to look like the old paper and well read and beat up. And then there's Marcus this Saturday at 7 p.m. Some person says hello. Okay, so I'm excited now. It's happening. It's gonna be slow. So, like I said, I'll be working on a couple of comics. So you're working on your own trivia show. When are you gonna debut that?
I don't know. It's still in the early stages. I was talking to a couple of guys after insert title here last Friday. I do with Drunken Emerald Arrow, and we started talking about it, and we're just trying to get the once we can figure out, well, these guys are gonna do all the legwork pretty much. I'm just gonna be the face. Once they get the videos made for the actual questions and answers, we're gonna bring it back, and we'll have a panel will take part, and I'm even opening up just like some chat members if they want to come on and be a panel member. You don't have to have a camera. You can have your little icon as your picture. Come on, as long as you have a mic that we can hear you, and you can come do trivia time or whatever we're gonna call it.
So what it's pop culture trivia, like Roman history trivia,
pop culture. We're gonna do, like I said, movies, video games, comic books, stuff like that. Maybe some music trivia tossed in there, but not like videos with like, who was this and what song is this? It's like just like, okay, in this movie, in Airplane, what's Stryker's big problem? He talks about the whole movie. It's before options or whatever. He has a drinking problem,
right?
And he spills on the side. So that's stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. That'll be fun. Yeah. Something fun. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, and bring up D&D. I also do every other weekend. I do a game. We do Curse of Strahd, which is released in 5th edition on a Full Metal Nate's channel. We stream it live. We're on episode 16 this Saturday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Central. I think it's 6.
And how do you do it? Do you guys meet in a house and play together?
No, we play here like this. We have our we're spread out all over the country.
Oh, I got you.
We have all of our cameras, He just last night I talked to him for a few hours. And he showed me the new layout for the show. It looks really, really good. How we're gonna have it set up.
I played twice in like a Zoom D&D.
Mm-hmm. I've never did it before this.
I
was against it.
But I don't know. I got friends that come here in person and we still play.
And all of mine moved away.
Yeah.
I told the guy, so look, I don't mind playing as long as you let me roll my dice myself. I have a dice tower in my dice. That I'm not in like the whole point of it is having your friends with you.
Right. You want to hang out with your friends.
Right. But if we can't, I want to roll my own dice and have my dice tower and have my physical sheet.
But at the same time, I never thought I would enjoy doing YouTube and talking to people on YouTube.
I thought I would hate it.
You know,
it's really fun.
I just did it because everybody was locked in during COVID. So,
right.
And now I like, so I know I might like, I just don't know if I can commit now that I'm going to be going back to work and then with all the stuff that I'm doing now.
Right.
2 hours of butts and blue jeans and you have to guess the celebrity. I don't know. Yeah. We just played oh no. I forget. Am I playing Friday or Saturday night? My friend Jimmy's coming over. But we played 2 weeks ago. It was great. One of my friend's characters died. It's always a lot of fun when a character.
Oh yeah, always. I love the D&D movie that came out last year. People are saying they should have a scene where a character dies, and the next scene it's the same actor in a different role, and no one mentions it. That'd be real.
He just announced the backstory for no reason at all. Yeah. Paranoia. There's an old school. Is there a new edition of Paranoia, or are you still talking about like the old Paranoia game? That is.
I haven't heard about that one in years.
Yeah, there was advertisements for it in the old comics, and I never played, and I always wanted to try it, but I still play this. I look right there because the rule book is just out of reach. Old school Villains and Vigilantes, and I house rule it, and I use that. If we play fantasy, I use Villains and Vigilantes, superheroes, whatever. I use only Villains and Vigilantes rule. So I haven't played D&D since second edition. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons second edition was the last one I used.
3.3 and 3.5 was my favorite. The early 2000s. 4 was too video gamey. Tank's right. The 5th edition has the OG rules and new ones, but this new book that came out last year. Orcs are now misunderstood people with a hierarchy. They have wives and kids. They have normal jobs. They're not evil.
Then what are they then? Like, they're
normal people.
You know what I mean? So what are they? Just another ethnic group? Like,
no, yeah,
yeah. A couple of things that always bothered me about Dungeons & Dragons, like barbarian's not a class. You know what I mean? It just like Viking is not a class. Barbarian just means you're a fighter.
A race.
Well, barbarian just means you're a fighter from a less civilized society. You know what I mean? It's that's all it is. It's I've always had a problem with classes. So in my role playing, I've done away with all classes. You're just, a human, an elf, a dwarf, or whatever, and then whatever you focus on is your class. You call yourself a fighter, but you learn spells and you didn't learn how to use swords, then you're the worst fighter. But whatever. Bulky green gray elves. Orcs in my game are the most. I use all the classic monsters, but I try to play with it because I don't like when my players have information. Did you see that episode of Community when they play D&D?
They have 3 of them, but yes, they're all fucking great.
The first one is brilliant. The other 2 are okay, but the first one, Chevy Chase, he goes to another room and he buys the modules, so he knows what's coming beforehand, and he manipulates the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember, we got the second edition DDs and Demigods, and one of the guys wanted to be a cleric, so like he knew how to manipulate being a cleric to his. So I made up my own race of gods. I made my own. Yeah. Sure. But I use orcs. But orcs, have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
Yes.
The Kurt Russell. Don't watch it with your wife or kids. But those are orcs. they're
Yeah.
totally monstrous. You know, they have no redeeming qualities.
Nope.
They when the orcs come raiding, villages move.
Yes.
Like they're like, oh no, they're smart, they're crafty, they use tactics, and they have absolutely no regard for life. There's nothing redeemable about, like, dragons. Forget about, like, my players still don't know how weird dragons are. Why they hoard gold, things like that. Like, elves, we've been playing for 20 years, and I still don't let players be elves because they don't know what elves really are. So I've had one player who was like, I want to be an elf, and she was only going to be in town for a couple months. So I let her be an elf, but I still didn't tell her. We compromised. She was a barbarian elf, so she doesn't know the elves' great secret, things like that. So but I like to change things up so they don't know what to expect.
Right.
Like fairy creatures are all insects. You know how a moth has dust on it?
Mm-hmm.
That's fairy dust. So, like,
okay.
when the moth flies up, it absorbs light from the moon and the sun. That creates a glamour, so they look like beautiful humanoids.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And then when they get,
and
if they come in contact with cold iron, if the core of the sun, like if the core of the sun is hydrogen, then it's helium, and then when the core of the sun transfers to iron, then the sun either goes supernova or becomes a red dwarf or goes extinct. So iron is the end of solar energy, solar power. So fairies who get their power from solar light, if they get corroded with iron, their body can't metabolize it, and that's when they lose the fairy, and their glamour, they become ugly, they become hags, things like that. But then, so like it's like a curse. If you use an iron weapon on a fairy and poison them, they're outcasts. It's like a fate worse than
awesome,
death,
man.
So there's all this, like, so it's all the familiar creatures, but I try to change it up. Like trolls, forget about, like, trolls. Like I could go on and on, but like dragons still are the weirdest, most bizarre. All dragons in my game are aliens from other worlds, and they interbreed with the dominant life form. When dragons came to our world, dinosaurs were there. They interbred with dinosaurs. They take the best qualities of the creature. So there's dragons on other worlds that are slime molds. You know what I mean? But the dragons on Earth took dinosaur shapes for the size, the power, and the ferocity. And then later on, they interbred with humans for the intelligence and blah, blah, blah. So there's all. Oh, and minotaurs are the worst, Zach Tan. Yes, that's right. Minotaurs are the worst. Minotaurs are the spawn of Moloch, because in ancient Thebes they would sacrifice people to the Minotaur, and that was child sacrifice. That was to a big statue of the bull god, which was Moloch, and then that's what the Minotaur. So all Minotaurs are to be extinguished in my game. You're not role playing. If you want to role play a Minotaur in my game, you're gonna get the side eye. Yeah, don't snort the fairy dust. And I'm babbling because I drank way so much coffee because I'm just so happy to be done with this 40 hours of certification. Cyberpunk, I never played the Cyberpunk games, but I keep pointing upstairs. I have a shelf of all role-playing rule books. At one point, I was just collecting rule books because I was just cannibalizing all different ideas. I never played it, but I have Shadowrun, Rifts, there's a Hellboy game, Usagi Yojimbo role-playing game. I think most of them are D20s.
Mm-hmm. They are.
So what version of D&D do you guys play?
We play 5th edition.
Okay.
Our DM's he's only a 26, so he's kind of young. But we I keep telling him, man, if you want to see a real fun system, pick up a 3rd edition book or 3.5. That's generally considered, again, not all of it across the board, but generally considered the best version of D&D.
I know Irene, I can never pronounce her last name, who does Fiendish. She plays Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever played Pathfinder?
A long time ago, and I'm told I'm ignorant for not wanting to play it because it's a better D&D. But when I played it, it was too much to take in. Excuse me.
No
To
problem.
play.
See, I never played. I was ignorantly unaware of like the edition
Mhm.
wars. You know, it wasn't until I saw some article on the internet that there was like fights over which edition was the best, and then 3.5, and then Pathfinder. You know,
Yeah.
again, what do I have? I got some. You know, like to me, this is D&D.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well.
I got it when the red book came out. You know, and I'm not, you know, claiming whatever. I'm cooler than you. It's just I'm older than you.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I played that. I got the second edition, and then
I got it to second edition. Yeah, that's where I got into it.
and then I got the advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition,
Mhm.
and that was where I ended. I'm like, I spent too much. I got too invested in rules. I wasn't gonna, because then I would have to change all my sheets and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I
Well,
never did.
I can tell you, as someone who's played advanced second edition, it was always like I always hated having to remember what you had to roll above, what you had to roll below. Third edition was the first one where it made everything you got to roll above. You have to go. The THACO was no longer a thing. You didn't have to go above some stats, below some stats, and they're really kind of like, I'm not gonna say streamlined, but they really made it more easily accessible to a player. 3.5, just like, hey, we're just like the cherry on top. And 4, they turned it into a video game. Everybody had like millions of hit points. Everybody did millions of done tons of damage. If you were a backline fighter like a wizard, you can be a tank more than a tank in the front of the fucking party could. It was stupid. It was so stupid.
One of the things I would there's two comments I want to. Master Hobo says, "Get that Heroic Tales role playing game started." That, you know, I've been writing down notes and coming up with ideas, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. You know, who knows? Maybe second edition won't even. You know, like I said, a lot depends on how my campaign for issue number 2 goes. But I would like to do a role playing game, and one of the things that I would do, my biggest pet peeve in D&D is, okay, Darnell's fighter comes running at me. Your armor class is -2. Whatever. You know, it always seemed that Dungeons and Dragons was created piecemeal, which isn't bad because it was first. You know,
Which is why third edition fixes all that.
Oh, I should check that out. But like one of the things that I remember was, okay, you got an armor class of 1, so you're in full plate mail armor and everything like that, and then I swing a sword. I need an 18 to hit you. Okay, so it's really tough to hit you. I roll a 19. It's not a critical hit, but I hit you. But I do full damage. To me, it that never made sense. The armor is supposed to protect you from damage, not make it so that you can't be hit. Like literally, like if we've all been in fist fights. You're a cop. I'm sure you've been in
more fights as a teenager than a cop, but yes.
I'm not even joking. I've been in more fist fights the past 2 years than in the past 30 years. It's easy to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to miss in a fist fight. Nobody throws a punch and whiffs. What it's hard to do is score damage. So what I would like to do is, the better your armor, the armor absorbs all your damage. So I'm hitting Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm never gets missed in a fight. You know, Colossus never gets missed in a fight. He just doesn't feel it. So I was thinking the same thing. Like a knight in armor, he gets hit with that sword. So you do 30 damage. But so you're gonna have like a base to hit with everybody.
Yeah.
What it is like Daredevil is hard to hit because he's like, do you have an agility defense? The Hulk is easy to hit. He just stands there. He doesn't care. You know, he's not dodging. He's not avoiding you. He wants you to hit him, you know? So that's what I would like to do. Work on a system where your armor repels the damage, not makes it.
What they do now is that I think everyone has an armor class of 10 to start. And then depending on what armor you wear, we'll raise it. But also, like if you're in like plate, you can have a dex modifier. Like if you have a 18 dex, so your dex modifier is a +3. No, plate mail gives you a max of +2. So it kind of hurts you, right?
Right.
They don't. Some DMs I know have put in, damage reduction. They have that now, where it's like some DMs will incorporate. I hate that word. We'll add in like, okay, so you were in full plate, you hit for 30 points, you only take 25 or you only take 20 because your armor kind of glanced some of it off. It's really up to the DM's discretion. I know a lot of DMs that have done that.
Right.
They've just modified how they do damage to people.
Like I want to come up with a system where like you eloquently said it, damage reduction versus damage avoid. Like Daredevil would be a damage avoidance character, whereas Thor or Colossus would be a damage reduction.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you don't really see Thor dodging and ducking and weaving.
Whereas to be fair, if you watch the Netflix Daredevil, he doesn't dodge much either. He takes the shit. But you know, like, handed to him. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Batman to me should be the ultimate damage avoidance character rather than Batman's not standing there absorbing and reducing damage. Batman is avoiding, and that's why Conan could be an ultimate fighter in D&D, even though he's not decked out in plate mail. Like Conan has always been shows you what a problem the D&D system has, because any 7th level character should be able to beat Conan, because Conan's running around basically naked. Conan should have an armor class of 10.
Yeah.
But that's what I would like to do. So, like the Patriarch, by now I hope you read the comic, you understand that he's telekinetic. So he does damage reduction. You shoot a bullet at him, he's got telekinetic fields. The bullet kind of gets robbed of its kinetic energy. It will drop before it hits, provided he's aware. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then there's going to be another character. I don't want to say his name yet, but this guy's going to be jumping. You literally, he's superhuman. He's superhuman. Like if you can imagine that a character could lift 60-ton crane, then you can imagine this guy's agility is the equivalent of a guy who's strength.
Yeah.
So he's just,
he's bat route.
Yeah. Kind of things like that. But I don't know. That's the way I would rather work. I just find it like, okay, like guys in medieval armor would get walloped with maces. You know what I mean? But it's not like they would be missing each other. Oh, geez, this guy's got an armor class -2. Whiff. I didn't hit him.
Again, that comes back to the DM, because with Nate, our DM, 1 second.
Sure.
He when we miss, he'll sit there and describe it like, didn't miss you. Your armor actually took the hit. So like you were hit, but it glanced off your armor. It didn't.
Right. You put it up
into it,
and you directed it off.
He does that. He does that with misses, like, or he'll ask like, okay, so it's a miss on you. How are you dodging this attack? And you'll say it, and you'll be like, oh well, yeah. So
like a couple of the guys, like one of my friend's characters he's so good at dodging that I have a house rule of this is, it's called a solid blow and a solid miss. So if I need it in dungeon, in my game, the lower the better. So if I need a 3 to hit, or that's really bad. But if I need a 13 to hit, it's a little better. So say I need a 13 to hit and I rolled a 3. I hit better than 10. I hit you so hard that you can't roll and use some of your defenses. But I also make it, if you need a 3 to hit and you rolled a 13, so you missed by 10, you missed, like this guy just got out of the way. Like that could be, if you were standing next to, like, it's situational. So I'm such a good guy. I'm Daredevil. I take the kingpin and I move over here in front of the open circuit panel, and then I dodge at the last minute. He punches the circuit. He missed by 10. He could take environmental damage because Daredevil is manipulating where the punch is going to go. That's how good things like that I want to incorporate.
That's awesome.
Whatever. There's another comment here that I wanted to thank you guys for asking comments. It makes it so good to think. Sometimes I'm talking to somebody and I run out of things to talk about, but Master Hobo, is my board game collection as big as my comic collection? So this camera is easy to move. So this is my room. So you see there's piles and piles of board games over there. There's board games on the wall. There's boxes of Kickstarter games that have literally been sitting there for almost 2 years that I gotta open up. There's games behind me, and then there's another wall of board games. So I will say yes. There's Aragorn's sword hanging up. There's my stack of 2-read comics. So yes, when I get into something, I get into something, which is why I won't drink, I won't do drugs, I won't gamble, because I know me. If I started gambling, I'd turn on my camera and I'd have like bruises on my face. Yeah, yo, the mob. I'd turn on my camera. There'd be no games because I would have to sell them all, and I'd be all beat up. So I don't do bad things because I know I'll never stop.
Yeah.
Hellhound. Hey, nice to see the name. Some systems have critical successes like critical. I don't know. That's always been in D&D that if you rolled a 20, it was double damage. Is that incorporated into the rules now?
Yes. Yeah. It's the our max damage. Like it's either double. Like okay, so you roll your damage is a D8, and you have a +5 because your strength is so high. Okay, so you're gonna do automatic 16 damage, and then your 10. It's like getting hit twice at max damage.
Okay. Oh, so you do match. That's cool. Yeah. Again, a 1 is the best thing in Villains Vigilantes. So if you roll a 1, it's double just because it's just something everybody stands up and roots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in superhero world, sometimes a particular attack doesn't affect somebody. So if you're the Vision and you're unsolid or whatever, and you're phasing, and Hulk throws a punch, Hulk can't touch Vision. You know what I mean? So you roll a 1, you're like, yeah, and you're like, it goes right through him because he's incorporeal.
Right.
Yeah, that's part of the game is figuring out. Oh my god, this guy can nullify my entire attack.
I think with D&D, what's hard about getting that specific is one of the big complaints that people I've talked to who I guess who normies and some hardcores, fighting takes too long.
Okay.
Like what should be a 15-minute like real time fight, like we're acting it out, ends up taking 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
And because people aren't ready, or they like when it's their turn, they finally pick the book up, start looking for what they're gonna do, or like it turns into this big long, like drawn out.
I have a new group, so I'm kind of nice, but I have got okay, Darnell, it's your turn. Okay, okay, you lost your action, agitated, and I go right to the next guy.
Well, I started talking to Nate about. I said, look, man, we need to put some kind of you need to put some kind of like cap on like how much time when you're not if it is a fight, don't try and talk and start looking figure out what you do, then talk.
You know,
I know situations change where like, okay, I was gonna do this. Well, John just hit him for fucking 85 damage. Well, I'm gonna change. Well, that means he's susceptible to this now, so I'm gonna change my tactic.
Right.
Again, that happens. But you could tell a veteran player can tell when it's someone who's changing their tactic or someone who doesn't know what they're doing and hasn't even looked.
Right. We went to I used to run a board game group, and we had one kid who was on his phone, and then when it was his turn, he would start to think. So I told him the next time you touch that phone, you're out the door. You know, I'm one of these people who's constantly on my phone. So so for me to even say that, but when I'm playing board games, I don't even I'm like, where is my phone? Like, I'm totally into it. Either be totally into it or don't bother. To the point where people said thank you. That guy was driving me crazy. But if we're playing role-playing games and I got 5 people, and we're the X-Men. Okay, Darnell, you're Wolverine. Okay, what do you do, Darnell? Okay, you hesitated. You lost your action. Next guy. I only have to do that once or twice to a player before they're sitting there going, because but my group with me is still, I don't want to scare them away yet. They're nice. I have to be at 8:30. I'm going to be on Comic Book Team Up on RJ's channel on the 4th World, and I didn't even realize that we've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. This has just been like so frantic. So anything you want to say before I have to shut this down? Otherwise, I talk for another 2 hours, but I got to leave.
Me too. Like I could talk for like 2 more hours with you,
Yeah.
man. Like I talking to you is so easy. I barely run out of things to talk about. I can talk for hours and not get tired. I had fun playing that. I can't remember the name of the game we played tonight. I had real fun playing that game.
Oh, that's right. We what did we play?
I can't remember.
Age of Comics.
No, it was one where the messenger had to leave the board and come back.
Siege. That's right. Yeah, we
Yes,
won too.
that was fun. Yes, we won. That was awesome. Well, so I don't have anything else to plug. YouTube.com/@shamrecords is my AI music I create. I've done music for shows. People have asked me, "Can you do some intro music? Can you do some outro music?" I do all the music for our D&D game, all the mood music. Check that out. YouTube.com/@shamrecords. I haven't posted anything in a few months, but I've got a few songs I'm working on to post up soon. And I also do music for free if you want it for your channel.
Oh, cool.
Send me a message at what my thing's going at Darnell Quiggley, no E before the Y. I'll on X, I'll hook you up.
Cool. I guess that I wish we had more time. If I didn't have to leave, I'd talk for another hour. But it's your daughter's birthday. Go be.
Yeah.
All right, but thanks a lot. So tomorrow at 7:00, I got Tiny but Fierce. She's always in everybody's chats.
Very passionate.
Yeah, passionate. I think she used to do cosplay. I think her illness is stopping her from doing stuff.
She's
Friday.
She's actually getting into voice acting now.
Oh, she is good for her. She's getting a little voice.
She does.
Friday, I can't believe this, but Sandy Peterson, he used to be one of the big wigs over at Final Flight Games, and he makes all these Cthulhu type games. He designed Cthulhu Wars, but he's a big board game guy. A guy I'm a huge fan of. I can't believe he's going to come on. He said I caught him at the right time, so that'll be Friday. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And then Friday night, it's comic book team up. Everybody's invited. No, it's clobbering time. Everybody's invited. We're going to talk the X-Men, the new X-Men, the original new X-Men versus the new Teen Titans. So like, if they weren't drawn by John Byrne or George Perez, they're not in this. So that's everything that's going on. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll see you guys. If we want it at 8:30, just go on YouTube, The Fourth Age with RJ, and I'll be there with Tim Olson. All right. So I'm going to shut it down so I can finish my my Chipotle. Right. Bye, everybody. Bye. And come back, Darnell. We still haven't. I feel like we haven't even scratched the tip. We barely even talked about comics.
We haven't. I could talk to you for hours.
Yes.
About this.
And I could talk to a brick wall for hours. I just never shut up. All right. Bye, everybody.